bring in Peter Schweitzer from the Government Accountability Institute, somebody, full disclosure, I do some work with. Peter, you wrote about this in Blood Money, one of your many books. You were on this a couple of years ago, but it seems like now that Trump's in office, they're finally paying attention to us. Explain how this is working and the Chinese involvement.
Yeah, no, I think it's so important that President Trump is taking a strategic approach to the fentanyl crisis, because Joe Biden thought it was just a healthcare issue. The bottom line is this is a Chinese operation. The drug cartels are the junior partners. The precursor chemicals, as about everybody now knows, come from China, but they're offloaded at the Port of Manzanillo in Mexico, which is run by a Chinese company. Those precursors are shipped up north, where the DEA says 2,000 Chinese chemists happen to be who turn this into the deadly cocktail of fentanyl. The drug cartels then use pill presses that the Chinese have sold to them at cost to produce these pills, which are killing so many Americans. And then the money laundering aspect of it. The drug cartels 20 years ago used banks in Latin America. They're now using state-owned banks. So this is a strategic initiative by China to punish and damage the United States. And I applaud the Trump administration, not just this operation to unwind part of the money laundering aspect and the nature of it, but also the Trump approach on tariffs, which is saying you're going to pay a price. We're not the type of people who are going to do the same thing back to you, but you're going to pay a price with tariffs as long as you continue to put this poison in the United States.
Cartels are absolutely losing their minds right now, as Trump just executed the most devastating blow against the Sinaloa Cartel in American history. And that's not even the craziest part. Russia just got hit with sanctions so brutal that Putin's entire war machine is about to collapse. But what I'm about to reveal will shock you to your core, because these two events are connected in ways the mainstream media will never tell you. If you want the real truth that's being hidden from Americans, smash that subscribe button right now, because this story will blow your mind. The 48-hour cartel meltdown. The Sinaloa Cartel just experienced their version of Pearl Harbor, and they never saw it coming. In less than 48 hours, Trump turned the most powerful drug empire in history into a pile of burning rubble. This wasn't just a raid. This was complete and total annihilation of everything they built over 3 decades. Trump's latest strike against the Sinaloa Cartel wasn't just another drug bust. It was a coordinated assault that destroyed $2.3 billion worth of cartel assets in just 48 hours. Intelligence sources report that cartel leaders are now abandoning their luxury compounds in Culiacan and fleeing to remote mountain hideouts as their entire financial network crumbles. The operation targeted 47 different cartel safe houses simultaneously across 3 Mexican states, seizing enough fentanyl to kill 890 million Americans. What makes this even more shocking is that cartel communications intercepted during the raids revealed they're not just panicking about losing money. They're terrified because Trump discovered something that could end their entire operation forever, and it has nothing to do with what you think.
Well, my next guest is an ex-Chicago kingpin who went from dealing billions of dollars worth of drugs as one of North America's most successful cocaine traffickers to bringing down the infamous drug lord El Chapo as a government informant. He is former Sinaloa Cartel kingpin Margarito J. Flores Jr., who joins us here on set. Jay, it's great to see you again. We've been together on several occasions. I feel like it's necessary every time to clarify for the audience why you are wearing that mask, why you're wearing the sunglasses.
Unfair persecution. My life will continue to be in danger. I testify against the most deadliest and powerful drug cartels that existed. So yes, it's for my safety. And I know that many individuals might think that I still look the same, and but I don't. But I do it for my safety.
Well, we can all appreciate that, testifying against El Chapo, going against the Sinaloa Cartel. The Sinaloa Cartel is one of the cartels, the primary cartel, in fact, that the Trump administration says they're going after and going on offense. What do you think about this as an approach, going on offense?
Well, it's great, especially today as kickoff, right? I returned that analogy, but taking it to where, the cartel's territories, as we saw with the bombing of a boat with drug traffickers, I think it sends a clear message to every drug trafficking organization and cartel that the Trump administration is taking this very seriously, and they're not playing any games.
But how high and how far do we have to escalate the war? Jay, you have talked about this with me. I mean, the number of drugs coming into Mexico and then coming into America, and the amount of money going back into Mexico, it's like every time we do something, it's swatting at a gnat. There is a swarm of gnats when it comes to the cartel.
The historic raid that broke the cartel empire. What happened next will go down in history as the single most devastating blow ever dealt to organized crime. The cartels thought they were untouchable. They were dead wrong. This operation was so precise and brutal that it makes every action movie look like a children's cartoon. The Sinaloa Cartel just suffered the most devastating blow in their 30-year history when Trump's forces executed a military-style operation that decimated their entire command structure in one night. Over 200 cartel operatives were eliminated or captured, including 3 of El Chapo's top lieutenants, who were considered untouchable by previous administrations. The raid destroyed 15 super labs capable of producing 2 million fentanyl pills daily, along with a fleet of 89 armored vehicles and 12 submarines used for drug trafficking. Cartel-intercepted messages show complete chaos as remaining leaders frantically try to reorganize their shattered organization while Trump's forces continue hunting them down. But here's the part that will make your blood boil. This historic victory almost didn't happen because of one shocking betrayal from within the US government itself. Why cartels are erupting in absolute terror. The cartels are eating themselves alive, and it's the most beautiful thing you'll ever see. They've gone from being America's nightmare to becoming their own worst enemy in just 1 week. Watch as the most feared criminals on earth turn into scared children running for their lives. Sinaloa cartel members are literally erupting in violence against each other as their empire collapses, with over 400 cartel-on-cartel murders reported in the past week alone. Internal cartel communications reveal that surviving leaders are executing their own members, believing there are traitors everywhere after Trump's intelligence network proved impossibly accurate. The cartels are so desperate, they've placed a $50 million bounty on any U.S. official involved in the raids, while simultaneously begging rival cartels for protection and safe passage out of Mexico. What's driving them to complete madness is that Trump didn't just attack their operations. He seized their entire cryptocurrency wallet, containing $8.7 billion in untraceable digital currency they thought was completely secure. However, the real reason they're erupting in panic isn't just about money, because Trump discovered their secret weapon that was about to change everything.
You and I have had a fascinating conversation about whether or not the United States military should be going into Mexico, drones, special war fighters. And you said the Mexican people would actually welcome that. But it is interesting to hear you say, what we might need to do first, just cut off the supply of money that's right here in America.
Yes, we're talking about billions of dollars. It's a market, it's a business. And all these strategies that the Trump administration is putting into place, I think is great. I believe that the market will be indicator of what's actually going on. And for right now, the market's indicating that there's still a lot of supply. Drugs are at a time low across every market across the United States and Canada.
In terms of price.
Yes, in terms of price. And I think there needs to be more done there. But I do believe that the Mexican people will be happy to get help going against these criminal organizations.
The Chinese shadow empire that just got exposed. China's been playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers, but Trump just flipped the entire board. The communist regime thought they could hide behind the cartels forever. That fantasy just got shattered. What you're about to learn will make you realize that every overdose death was actually an act of war against America. Here's what the cartels are really afraid of. Trump just cut off their secret weapon that's been hiding in plain sight for years. Chinese state-owned banks have been processing over $400 million in cartel money laundering operations monthly, but that's just the surface level. The real bombshell is that Chinese military contractors have been supplying cartels with advanced drone technology and encrypted communication systems that make them nearly impossible to track. Recent raids uncovered Chinese-made pill presses capable of producing 50,000 fentanyl pills per hour, along with instruction manuals written in Mandarin. But here's the part that connects everything. This isn't just about drugs, because the money trail leads directly to Putin's war machine, in a way that will shock you. Russia gets slapped with the sanctions from hell. Putin just learned what it feels like to get punched in the face by the American economy. These sanctions are so brutal that Russian oligarchs are literally abandoning their billion-dollar lifestyles overnight. This isn't just economic warfare. This is financial obliteration on a scale never seen before. Putin just got hit with the most brutal economic punishment in modern history, and these aren't your typical sanctions that Russia has learned to work around. The new sanctions freeze $340 billion in Russian assets hidden in Swiss banks and cryptocurrency exchanges that nobody knew existed until now, while simultaneously blocking Russia from using the SWIFT banking system entirely. Russian oligarchs are reportedly fleeing to Dubai and Singapore with whatever wealth they can salvage, abandoning their billion-dollar yachts and London penthouses as their accounts get frozen worldwide. Putin has been forced to sell gold reserves at 30% below market value just to keep his military funded, while the ruble has crashed to its lowest value since the Soviet collapse. But the real devastation comes from Trump targeting Russia's secret revenue stream that most people don't even know exists.
Transition, because you got a big job, foreign affairs. Let's transition to what's going on with Russia and Ukraine. Russia had one of the biggest attacks ever on Kyiv with 800 drones reportedly attacking that. What's going to change the equation there?
Look, we see, obviously, everybody knows, Russia and Ukraine in kinetic conflict. What's allowing Russia to continue this when they're cut off from a lot of the world? It's where they're not cut off from the rest of the world. And so China's buying, let's say, 20% or more of their oil and gas, hundreds of billions of dollars a year. To that same point, and this is why India is such a big deal right now, they have upped from being almost a negligible purchaser of Russian oil and gas before the Ukraine war to now purchasing hundreds of billions of dollars of Russian oil and gas that they weren't purchasing before, allowing Russia to prosecute this war. Obviously, North Korea providing the troops to Russia against Ukraine. And so you look at this and you say, we have to deal with those that are on the outside that are still allowing, because of their relationships, their cooperation, Russia to continue this war. And it really puts to a fine point that because of cooperation, Russia, China, India, North Korea are essentially at war with Ukraine, Europe, the United States of America because of those cooperations. And we're trying to deal with that in an economic way so that it doesn't come to a kinetic way.
The $89 billion drug money war machine connection. Every American who died from fentanyl was actually killed by Putin's war machine. Let that sink in. The cartels weren't just drug dealers. They were Russian weapons of mass destruction disguised as criminals. This revelation will change how you see every overdose victim. They were casualties of World War III. The cartel-Russia connection just became a national security nightmare when investigators discovered that fentanyl profits are being funneled directly into Putin's war efforts in Ukraine. Banking records seized during the raids show that $89 billion in drug money has been converted into cryptocurrency and transferred to Russian defense contractors over the past 2 years. This means every American who dies from fentanyl overdose is literally funding Putin's war machine, making the cartels active participants in international warfare against democracy. Russian military advisors have been training cartel enforcers in advanced combat tactics at secret facilities in Venezuela, while cartels provide cryptocurrency laundering services for Russian arms dealers. What makes these new sanctions so devastating is that Trump didn't just target Russia's official economy. He destroyed their secret drug money pipeline that was keeping Putin's war alive. The underground nuclear threat nobody talks about. The cartels weren't just planning to poison Americans with drugs, they were preparing to nuke entire cities. This isn't some conspiracy theory. This is documented evidence of the most terrifying terrorist plot in American history. What you're about to hear will make 9/11 look like a minor incident compared to what was almost unleashed on American soil. Russian intelligence has been secretly helping cartels acquire radioactive materials from medical facilities across Latin America, with the goal of creating dirty bombs that could be smuggled into American cities. FBI raids on cartel compounds discovered traces of cesium-137 and cobalt-60, radioactive isotopes that could contaminate entire city blocks if detonated in populated areas. The plan was diabolical. Use cartel smuggling networks to transport these weapons across the southern border, then detonate them in major American cities to create mass panic and economic collapse. Intelligence sources reveal that Russian nuclear scientists have been training cartel bomb makers at a secret facility in Nicaragua, teaching them how to weaponize radioactive hospital waste. This isn't just about drugs anymore. It's about preventing nuclear terrorism on American soil, and the evidence Trump's team uncovered reveals an attack timeline that will make you question everything.
When you talk about the financial way, I've seen this through the decades. I've seen president after president say, oh, we're going to use sanctions. At some point, why don't we use all the sanctions? Like, we keep talking about this sanction and that sanction. Like, why not cut them off of the financial system? That would get their attention. And look, the energy, drill baby drill, being energy independent, it's a huge part of the equation for the United States. And you can't just flip a switch and it starts to be on. But I don't understand, Chairman, why not use all the sanctions to make the difference against Russia so they really feel the pain?
No, I would agree with you in totality, right? You can't be down the middle of the road in this. There are obviously peripheral things that the United States of America has to deal with to say, we've allowed ourselves to get into a bad situation with China because of our dependencies on a lot of the minerals that they extract from the earth and that they refine, and we need to get those minerals from them for our own good. That puts us in a tougher spot when we're negotiating. We're trying to reduce that tough spot that we're in. Same thing with any of those countries. We need to make sure they don't have those dependencies in totality. We need to make sure that the only thing Russia knows the world needs from them is a less powerful Russia. That's what we need. Anything that allows them to be more powerful, we're not on the side of. Anything that weakens them, we are on the side of because of where they are at in the world. That's the path that they chose.
The secret alliance that controls everything. This is the moment when everything you thought you knew about reality gets completely destroyed. America has been under attack by a three-headed monster for years, and most people had no idea. What Trump uncovered isn't just a crime syndicate. It's a full-scale invasion plan disguised as separate world events. The most terrifying truth of all is that Russia, China, and the cartels haven't just been working together. They've formed a secret military alliance designed to destroy America from within using drugs, economic warfare, and cyber attacks. Classified documents seized during the cartel raids reveal Operation Red Dragon, a coordinated plan to collapse the US dollar, flood American streets with lethal drugs, and trigger a civil war through targeted disinformation campaigns. The plan included using cartel networks to distribute weapons to extremist groups on both sides of the political spectrum, while Russian hackers simultaneously attacked power grids and financial systems during the chaos. Chinese military strategists calculated that America could be brought to its knees within 18 months without firing a single conventional shot, using nothing but drugs, propaganda, and economic manipulation. Trump's simultaneous assault on cartels in Russia isn't just about stopping crime or ending a foreign war. It's about preventing the complete destruction of the United States as we know it. And the evidence suggests we're already closer to that scenario than anyone wants to admit.
Russia launching its biggest air barrage yet in Ukraine, leaving an infant among the dead and setting the main government building on Kyiv on fire. Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yingst joins us live from the Ukrainian capital with the latest. Hello, Trey.
Mike, good afternoon. It was the largest air attack conducted by Russia since the war began. More than 800 drones, along with a dozen missiles, targeted Ukrainian cities, including the capital of Kyiv. At least 3 people were killed and 20 more injured. The moment was significant as All of these different buildings across the city were targeted, including the Cabinet of Ministers' offices, the first government building to be significantly damaged in Kyiv. You could see black smoke billowing this morning across the skyline. At a nearby apartment complex, as we arrived, rescue crews combed through the debris, looking for one man buried beneath the rubble.
Trump just exposed a conspiracy so massive it could have ended America forever. And most people still don't realize how close we came to total destruction. If this story opened your eyes to the truth they're hiding from us, please smash that like button and subscribe, because your support is the only thing keeping this information alive when powerful enemies want it buried. I love you all, and we'll see you in the next one, where we continue fighting for America's survival.